Fleet Commander Rektar stood before the holographic display and smiled. The blue planet rotating before him looked perfect. Water covered most of its surface, and green continents promised rich resources. His sensors showed billions of life forms moving across the surface. This world would make an excellent addition to the Zalcari collective. Analysis complete, Commander, his second officer reported. The dominant species calls themselves humans. They have basic technology, nuclear weapons, chemical rockets, primitive computing systems. Rektar's smile widened. In his 300 years of service, he had conquered 23 worlds. This one would be the easiest yet. The species hadn't even left their own star system. They fought among themselves constantly. Their planet was divided into nearly 200 separate nations, all competing for resources and territory. Do they have unified planetary defense? Rektar asked. No, Commander. Each nation maintains separate military forces. They have no coordinated warning systems, no orbital defense platforms. Their most advanced weapons are still kinetic projectiles accelerated by chemical explosions. The bridge crew laughed. Chemical explosions? How primitive. Rektar examined the data carefully. The humans numbered approximately 8 billion. Their largest military forces used vehicles that rolled on rubber wheels. Their aircraft required air to generate lift. Their warships floated on water. Everything about them screamed easy conquest. What is their response time? Rektar asked. From threat detection to full military mobilization, we estimate 12 to 48 hours depending on the nation. Communication between nations is slow and often unreliable due to political tensions. Perfect. The Zalcari collective had refined their invasion strategy over 5 centuries. Strike fast, disable communications, destroy major military installations, present the native population with overwhelming force. Most species surrendered within 3 days once they understood resistance was futile. Rektar turned to his communication officer. Prepare the standard conquest broadcast, translated into their major languages. Already complete, Commander. They speak over 6,000 languages, but 90% of the population uses just 12 primary languages. 6,000 languages? Rektar shook his head. Such division. They will welcome unity under the collective. He moved to the tactical display. His fleet consisted of 300 warships. Each vessel carried enough firepower to level a continent. Their shields could withstand anything these humans might throw at them. Their plasma weapons could melt steel from orbit. Fleet positioning? Rektar asked. All ships in position around the planet, Commander. We have coverage of all major population centers. Strike teams are ready to deploy. Rektar took a deep breath. This moment never got old. The moment before conquest. The moment when an entire species learned they were no longer alone in the universe. The moment when they understood their place in the greater galactic order. Begin Phase 1. Disable their orbital satellites. Cut their communications. The weapons officer entered the commands. Across Earth's orbit, hundreds of satellites suddenly went dark. Communication satellites. Weather satellites. Military satellites. All disabled by precise electromagnetic pulses. On Earth, televisions went blank. Internet connections died. Military radar screens showed nothing but static. Within minutes, the planet was blind and deaf. Phase 2. Destroy military installations. Blue beams lanced down from orbit. In North America, a massive underground facility exploded from within. In Russia, missile silos collapsed. In China, naval bases erupted in flames. The strikes were surgical and devastating. Within 30 minutes, 80% of Earth's nuclear weapons were destroyed before they could launch. Phase 3. Show them our power. Rektar watched as demonstration strikes hit empty areas. A mountain in Norway vanished in blue fire. A desert in Australia turned to glass. An uninhabited island in the Pacific Ocean ceased to exist. The message was clear. We could destroy you, but we choose not to. Begin the broadcast. Rektar's image appeared on every screen that still worked on Earth. His translated message played, simultaneously in 12 languages. People of Earth. I am Fleet Commander, Rektar of the Zalcari Collective. Your planet has been selected for integration into our civilization. Resistance is futile. We have destroyed your satellite network. We have neutralized your military capability. We have demonstrated our power. You have 48 hours to respond. Surrender peacefully and your species will be preserved. Continue to fight and you will be eliminated. Your governments will contact us through the provided channels. This is your only warning. The broadcast ended. Rektar returned to his command chair and waited. In his experience, the first response was always panic. Then confusion. Then desperate attempts at resistance. Then finally acceptance. Some species took days to reach acceptance. Others took weeks. But they all reached it eventually. "Commander," his sensor officer said, "we are detecting unusual activity on the surface." "Panic?" Rektar asked. "Possibly. But also organized movement. Their remaining military forces are mobilizing faster than predicted. Underground facilities we were unaware of are activating." Rektar waved his hand dismissively. Last gasps of defiance. Standard behavior. Monitor their movements but take no action unless they attempt to strike at our fleet. He stood and stretched. The next 48 hours would be boring. Waiting always was. But after that, another planet would join the collective. Another species would learn to serve. Another conquest would be added to his record. Fleet Commander Rektar had no way of knowing that humanity had been preparing for this moment since they first looked up at the stars. He had no way of knowing that every nation on Earth had secret protocols for alien invasion. He had no way of knowing that humanity's greatest wars had always been against themselves, and that fighting each other had made them very, very good at fighting. The countdown began. 48 hours until humanity's response. The Zalcari expected surrender, they would not get it. The landing ships descended through Earth's atmosphere like falling stars. Rektar had chosen 12 major cities for the first ground assault. New York, Beijing, Moscow, London, Tokyo, São Paulo. The locations where human governments maintained their centers of power. The Zalcari soldiers wore combat armor that could withstand small arms fire. They carried plasma rifles that could cut through steel. They moved in formations perfected through centuries of conquest. They expected frightened primitives to flee before them. The first landing ship touched down in Central Park. The rear ramp lowered. 60 Zalcari soldiers marched out in perfect formation. The soldiers made it 15 steps before the shooting started. The bullets came from everywhere. From buildings, from underground, from vehicles that looked civilian but carried hidden weapons. The Zalcari armor stopped most of the rounds, but the sheer volume was staggering. Thousands of bullets per second hammered their shields. "Return fire," the squad leader commanded. The Zalcari plasma rifles lit up the morning sky. Buildings exploded. Trees vaporized. But the human shooting never stopped. For every human position they destroyed, 3 more opened fire. A soldier screamed. His shield had failed under the constant barrage. Bullets tore through his armor. He fell. This was not supposed to happen. In Moscow, Zalcari troops found the streets empty. They advanced cautiously through the city. Too late, they realized the streets were mined. Explosions ripped through their formations. Buildings collapsed on top of them. Human soldiers emerged from underground tunnels firing weapons, then disappearing before the Zalcari could respond. In Beijing, the aliens encountered something their intelligence had not predicted. Human soldiers who refused to retreat even when wounded. A human with a destroyed leg dragged himself forward, still firing. Another with burns covering half his body charged with a knife when his rifle ran empty. A third detonated explosives strapped to her chest, taking 5 Zalcari with her. Rektar watched the reports flood in from orbit. His 3 fingers drummed against his command chair. This was wrong. All wrong. Casualties? He demanded. 217 dead. 412 wounded. These numbers are from just the first 6 hours, Commander. 217 in 6 hours. The conquest of the Valar species had cost them 43 soldiers over 3 months. The humans had killed more than that before lunch. What is their military doctrine? Rektar asked. What is their strategy? His intelligence officer pulled up the data. Commander, they appear to have no unified strategy. Each human nation is fighting independently. However, they all seem to share certain characteristics. Explain. They do not retreat when logically they should. They do not surrender when wounded. They use weapons we would consider war crimes. Chemical agents, biological toxins, radioactive materials. They seem to have no cultural taboo against these weapons. Rektar felt something he had not felt in decades. Unease. Send in the second wave. Double the troop deployment. The second wave landed in 18 cities. This time the Zalcari came prepared for resistance. They brought heavier armor, more firepower, better shields. It did not matter. In London, human snipers picked off Zalcari officers from 2 kilometers away. In Tokyo, civilian vehicles packed with explosives rammed alien formations. In São Paulo, humans used the sewers to move beneath Zalcari positions, emerging to attack from behind, then vanishing before counterattacks could organize. But the worst was in New Delhi. The Zalcari secured a major government building. They fortified it, placed guards, established a command post. The humans contaminated the water supply with radiation. Within 3 days, every Zalcari in that building was dying of radiation sickness. The humans had poisoned their own infrastructure just to kill the invaders. "Commander," his medical officer reported, "we are seeing psychological casualties. Soldiers refusing to deploy, combat stress, nightmares. 3 soldiers have requested to be sent home." "That is impossible," Rektar said. "We have only been on the surface for 1 week." "Yes, Commander." "But the humans, they are relentless. They attack at all hours. They show no fear. Our soldiers report that humans continue fighting even when they should be dead. There are reports of humans with fatal wounds fighting for minutes before expiring." Rektar pulled up combat footage. He watched a human soldier take a plasma bolt to the chest. The wound was mortal, but the human did not fall. Instead, he ran forward, firing his primitive weapon until he collapsed. The autopsy showed his heart had been completely destroyed, yet he had run 15 meters and killed 2 Zalcari before his brain realized he was dead. "What kind of species is this?" Rektar whispered. The answer came from an unexpected source. A captured human military officer was brought aboard for interrogation. The human sat in the interrogation chamber, blood running down his face from a head wound. He was smiling. "You made a mistake," the human said in broken Zalcari, learned from a captured translation device. "What mistake?" the interrogator asked. "You thought we would be easy. You thought we would surrender? You have lost. Your military is broken. Your cities are occupied," the human laughed. Actually laughed. "Occupied? You control maybe 30% of the terrain you landed on. You lose more soldiers every day, and we are just getting started. You cannot win." "Maybe not," the human said. "But we will make you bleed for every meter. We will kill you in your sleep. We will poison your food. We will hunt you until you leave or until we are all dead. And you know what the best part is?" The interrogator said nothing. "We have been doing this to each other for 10,000 years. We know every trick, every trap, every way to kill that exists. You are not the first to try to conquer us. You are just the first from another planet." The human leaned forward. "You should have stayed home." Back on the bridge, Rektar reviewed the casualty reports. In 2 weeks, the Zalcari had lost over 3,000 soldiers. They controlled territory in 12 cities but could not expand. Every attempt to push outward resulted in devastating ambushes. Worse, the humans were learning. They had captured Zalcari weapons, captured armor, captured communication devices. Intelligence reports suggested they were already reverse engineering the technology. "Commander, we need reinforcements," his second officer said. Rektar stared at the blue planet below. How could this be happening? They were primitives. They had no space travel, no energy weapons, no advanced technology. But they had something the Zalcari did not have. Something that made them dangerous beyond their technology level. They had 10,000 years of practice killing each other. And now, they were going to practice on the Zalcari. Dr. Sarah Chen stared at the dead alien on the examination table. She had been working for 72 hours straight, fueled by coffee and pure anger. Around her, scientists from 12 different nations worked in an underground facility that officially did not exist. "The autopsy is complete," she announced to the video conference. On screens around the room, military leaders and scientists from around the world watched. "Tell us everything," an American general said. Sarah pulled up the scans. "Their biology is actually quite fragile compared to ours. Their homeworld appears to have been low stress. No major predators. Temperate climate. Rich resources. What does that mean for us?" a Chinese commander asked. "It means they evolved in paradise," Sarah said. "They never had to fight for survival. Their immune systems are weak. Their pain tolerance is low. Their bodies have not adapted to stress." She switched to another slide. "We, on the other hand, evolved in hell." The room was silent. Earth is a death world by galactic standards. We survived ice ages. We survived plagues that killed half our population. We survived predators that could tear us apart. We evolved to run down prey over days. We evolved to hunt in packs. We evolved to use tools to kill things bigger and stronger than us. Sarah's hands shook slightly. Her brother had died in the New York landing. We are persistence hunters, apex predators, and they just made themselves our prey. She pulled up a genetic comparison. Look at their DNA. It is clean, perfect, no genetic diseases. No mutations. No scars from evolutionary pressure. Now look at ours. Our DNA is a battlefield. Scars from ancient viruses. Mutations from radiation. Adaptations from parasites. We carry the genetic memory of 1,000,000 generations fighting to survive. They do not. A Russian scientist leaned forward. What are you saying, Dr. Chen? I am saying we can design biological weapons that will kill them and leave us untouched. I am saying their weaknesses are so profound that a human child could probably survive conditions that would kill their soldiers. She pulled up another slide. I am also saying we can use their technology. We have captured 17 intact weapons, 43 pieces of armor, 6 communication devices, and most importantly, we captured a working power cell from a landing ship. An Israeli intelligence officer spoke up. How long to reverse engineer? We already have, Sarah said. We do not understand the physics. We do not understand the theory. But we can copy the design. We can reproduce it. We have engineers working around the clock. She switched to a video feed. In a factory somewhere, humans were assembling rifles that glowed with blue energy. First batch of human-made plasma rifles will be ready in 48 hours. They are crude. They will probably explode if used too much, but they work. A British general asked, what about their ships? Too complex for now, Sarah admitted. But we are learning. Every day we understand more. They had 500 years to develop this technology. We will do it in 5 months because we have to. She closed her laptop. Gentlemen, ladies, we are going to win this war. Not because we are smarter than them, not because we are more advanced, but because we are meaner, we are tougher, we are willing to do things they cannot imagine. The video conference ended. Sarah returned to work. There were more aliens to dissect, more secrets to learn, more weapons to design. Across the world, humanity mobilized in ways the Zalcari could not comprehend. In underground factories, weapons were manufactured. In hidden laboratories, diseases were engineered. In secret training facilities, soldiers learned to use captured alien technology. But more than that, humanity was changing the nature of the war itself. In Afghanistan, soldiers who had spent 20 years fighting insurgencies taught their skills to others. The same tactics that had frustrated American and Soviet armies were now used against the Zalcari. Improvised explosives, ambushes, propaganda, terror. In Israel, Mossad operatives studied captured Zalcari soldiers. They learned the alien language. They learned their culture. They learned their fears. Then they used that knowledge to create psychological warfare campaigns that broke alien morale. In Russia, Spetsnaz units conducted deep raids into alien-held territory. They did not try to hold ground. They struck, killed, and vanished. The Zalcari never knew when or where they would attack. The uncertainty was more damaging than the casualties. In America, Navy SEALs swam through contaminated water to reach alien supply ships. They planted bombs. They sabotaged equipment. They kidnapped alien officers for interrogation. In China, hackers broke the alien encryption. It took them 3 weeks of constant work. But once inside the alien network, they wreaked havoc. False orders, corrupted data, redirected supplies. The Zalcari command structure began to fracture under the electronic assault, and everywhere civilians joined the fight. Teenagers manufactured explosives in chemistry labs. Grandmothers served as spotters for artillery. Children ran messages between resistance cells. Humanity had no word for civilian in this war. Everyone fought. Rektar watched his perfect conquest collapse. After 3 months, his forces controlled less territory than they had after 3 days. His casualties exceeded 12,000. His fleet in orbit was under constant attack from human rockets and captured plasma weapons fired from the ground. Commander, we have intercepted human communications, his intelligence officer reported. What do they say? They are sharing information, Commander. All human nations. They are teaching each other our weaknesses. They are distributing captured technology. They are coordinating attacks. But they were divided, Rektar said. They hated each other. They fought constant wars. They still do, Commander. Our intelligence shows human nations still have political disputes. Still argue about territory and resources, but they have agreed to pause all conflicts until we are defeated. Pause? For how long? Quote, until every last alien invader is dead or gone. End quote. Rektar felt his world tilting. They had united against him. 8 billion humans with one goal. His destruction. Send a message to the collective, Rektar said quietly. Request immediate reinforcement. 400 additional ships. Tell them the situation is critical. Commander, that is more ships than we have ever committed to a single conquest. Do it. As the message was sent, Rektar looked at Earth below. The blue planet that should have been an easy victory. The primitive species that should have surrendered. He had read their history while waiting for the conquest to conclude. He had learned about their wars. World War I, World War II. Wars where they killed millions of each other with industrial efficiency. Wars where they used poison gas and atomic bombs and biological weapons without hesitation. He had thought it made them weak. Divided. Easy to conquer. He understood now that he had been wrong. Those wars had not made them weak. Those wars had made them experts. Experts in killing. Experts in survival. Experts in turning anything into a weapon. The Zalcari had come to conquer humanity. Now Rektar wondered if any of his people would leave alive. The reinforcement fleet arrived in Earth orbit like a swarm of metal locusts. 400 ships. The largest battle fleet the Zalcari collective had ever assembled. Commander Rektar watched them take position around the planet and felt relief wash over him. Finally enough force to crush human resistance. All ships report ready, Commander, his communication officer announced. Excellent. Begin Operation Final Strike. Target all major human military installations. Show them that resistance is over. The fleet opened fire. Blue beams of plasma lanced down from orbit, striking military bases, factories, and communication centers. Mountains exploded. Cities burned. The display of force was meant to break human will. It did not. Instead, the humans fired back. From hidden silos, from mobile launchers, from underground facilities that the Zalcari had not known existed, missiles rose into the sky, thousands of them. Most were destroyed by the fleet's defensive systems, but not all, and the ones that got through carried something new, something the humans had created in their underground laboratories. The first warship to die was the Calvesh. A missile penetrated its shields and exploded against the hull. The explosion seemed small, but within minutes the ship's systems began failing. The crew started dying. They choked and vomited blood. Their skin blistered. Their organs shut down. The Calvesh broke orbit and crashed into the Pacific Ocean. All 400 crew members were dead before it hit the water. What was that? Rektar demanded. Biological weapon, Commander. The medical officer reported, his voice shaking. Engineered specifically to target our biology. It is airborne, fast-acting. 97% fatality rate based on preliminary data. Can we treat it? We have no treatments, Commander. We have never encountered biological warfare. Our medical science has no protocols for this. Rektar felt ice in his veins. The humans had created a plague that killed Zalcari and left humans unharmed. More ships reported infections. The plague spread through ventilation systems, through contact with infected surfaces, through the very air the Zalcari breathed. Within days, 40 ships were infected, 2,000 crew members dead, 5,000 more dying. Quarantine all infected vessels, Rektar ordered. Pull them back from orbit, but the damage was done. The fleet's morale shattered. Soldiers refused to leave their ships. Nobody wanted to go to the surface where the humans and their diseases waited. On Earth, the war entered a new phase. Humans began hunting. Lieutenant James Morrison led a Marine unit through the ruins of Chicago. They wore armor made from scavenged Zalcari materials. They carried plasma rifles built in human factories. They moved through the streets like ghosts. Contact, his point man whispered. Zalcari patrol. 12 targets. 200 meters, Morrison smiled. 6 months ago, seeing 12 aliens would have meant death for his unit. Now it meant target practice. Standard ambush pattern, he ordered. Remember, aim for the joints in their armor. That is where the shields are weakest. His Marines moved into position. They had done this dozens of times. The Zalcari patrol walked right into the kill zone. Fire. Plasma bolts and conventional rounds tore through the alien formation. The Zalcari tried to return fire, but they were too slow, too exposed, too predictable. Within 30 seconds, all 12 were dead. Strip the bodies, Morrison ordered. Take their weapons, their armor, their communication devices. Leave nothing useful. His Marines worked quickly and efficiently. This was standard procedure now. Every alien killed was one more source of technology. Every weapon captured was one more tool to kill with. Lieutenant, we have got movement. Big movement. Looks like a company-sized force heading our way. Morrison checked his tactical display. 60 aliens. Too many for his unit to fight directly. Fall back to the river, he ordered. Let them follow us. The Marines retreated through buildings they had prepared days ago. Through streets they had mined. Through kill zones they had established. The Zalcari followed, thinking they had the humans on the run. The aliens walked right into the trap. Explosives detonated. Buildings collapsed. Human snipers fired from hidden positions. The Zalcari formation broke apart in confusion. Morrison's Marines faded into the ruins like smoke. By the time the aliens reorganized, the humans were gone. 23 alien bodies lay in the street. The humans had suffered 0 casualties. This scene repeated across the globe. In Tokyo, in Berlin, in Mumbai, in São Paulo. Everywhere the Zalcari went, humans struck and vanished. The aliens could not pin them down, could not predict them, could not defeat them, but the worst was yet to come. In a secret facility in Colorado, Dr. Chen finished her work. She looked at the vials on the table before her and felt sick. What she had created was monstrous. A super plague, more deadly, more contagious, more horrible than anything in nature. Is it ready? The general asked. Yes, Chen said quietly. This version is airborne with a 72-hour incubation period. Infected Zalcari will show no symptoms but will spread it to everyone they contact. By the time they realize they are infected, it will be too late. How deadly? 99.3% fatal. Death occurs within 48 hours of symptoms appearing. It is, she paused, it is genocide in a bottle. The general was quiet for a moment. Doctor, I know this is hard, but they started this war. They killed billions of us in their initial strikes. They would have enslaved our entire species. I know, Chen said. That does not make this feel any less wrong. Will it work? Yes, it will kill them all if we deploy it. The general picked up the vials. Then we have a decision to make. That decision was made at the highest levels. Human governments debated for days. Some argued for mercy. Others argued for extinction. In the end, pragmatism won. The plague was deployed. It was not released in a dramatic way. No missiles, no bombs, no grand gestures. Instead, human agents simply infected a few captured Zalcari prisoners and released them back to their lines with fake intelligence. The aliens thought they had a victory. They thought they had turned these humans into informants. They had no idea they were carrying death. The plague spread through the Zalcari forces like wildfire. Within 2 weeks, every alien on Earth was infected. Within 3 weeks, the disease had spread to the orbital fleet through infected soldiers being evacuated for medical treatment. The dying began. Zalcari soldiers collapsed at their posts. Ship crews became too sick to function. Medical facilities were overwhelmed. The aliens died in their thousands, then their tens of thousands. They choked on their own blood. Their organs liquefied. Their bodies shut down. Rektar watched his fleet die. Ship after ship went dark as the crews perished. Emergency broadcasts filled the communication channels. Screams, prayers, final messages home. Commander, we must evacuate. His second officer said. We must retreat to home space before the entire fleet is lost. Rektar looked at Earth, the beautiful blue planet that had become a tomb for his people. 70,000 Zalcari had come to conquer it. Less than 10,000 remained alive, and most of those were infected. Send the retreat order, Rektar said. All ships still capable of FTL travel are to return home immediately. As the surviving ships prepared to jump, Rektar received one final message from Earth. It came in clear Zalcari, transmitted from a human facility. You came to conquer us. You burned our cities. You killed our people. Now you run home to die. Remember this, humanity does not forgive. Humanity does not forget. You started this war. We will finish it. The Zalcari fleet jumped to FTL, leaving Earth behind, but they took the plague with them. And they took something worse. The knowledge that they had awakened something terrible. The war on Earth was over. Humanity stood among the ruins of their cities and counted the cost. 3 billion dead, 50 major cities destroyed. Entire nations reduced to rubble. But they had won. The aliens were gone. For 2 months, humans rebuilt. They buried their dead. They treated their wounded. They began the long process of recovery. Then the governments made an announcement that changed everything. "My fellow citizens," the American president said, standing with leaders from China, Russia, the European Union, and 50 other nations, "we have won the Battle of Earth, but the war is not over." The broadcast went out worldwide. Billions watched. The Zalcari Collective still exists. They control 47 star systems. They have conquered 23 species. They have a fleet of thousands of ships, and now they know about us. The president paused. "We can wait for them to return. We can hope they leave us alone, or we can take the fight to them. We choose to fight." Behind him, massive structures became visible on the screens. Ship construction facilities built in secret during the invasion, using captured Zalcari technology, using human ingenuity and determination. "We have built a fleet," the president continued, "not as elegant as theirs, not as advanced, but functional, deadly, and it is ready to launch." In orbital shipyards, 300 human warships hung in space. They were ugly things, brutal and industrial. Human engineers had copied Zalcari designs but stripped away everything unnecessary. No comfort, no aesthetics, just weapons and engines and armor. Captain Maria Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution and looked at her crew. They were Marines, scientists, engineers, survivors of the invasion, people who had lost everything and wanted revenge. "All ships, this is Retribution," she broadcast to the fleet. "Check your systems. Prepare for FTL jump. Today we take the fight to them. Today we show the galaxy that humanity does not surrender. Humanity does not forgive. Humanity conquers." 300 ships jumped to FTL. Their destination, Jaltar Prime, the closest Zalcari colony world, home to 8 billion aliens. The journey took 6 days. Human FTL was crude and dangerous. 3 ships exploded during the jump, their reactors failing. 14 ships emerged damaged and had to limp behind the main fleet. But 283 ships arrived in the Jaltar system ready to fight. The Zalcari had been expecting them. Defense stations ringed the planet. Warships waited in formation. They had learned from Earth. They knew humans were dangerous. They were not prepared for how dangerous. "All ships, weapons free," Rodriguez ordered. "Show them what we learned." The human fleet did not try elegant maneuvers, did not attempt tactical genius. They simply charged. Straight into the defensive perimeter, straight into the teeth of alien defenses. Plasma fire filled space. Human ships exploded. But for every human ship destroyed, they took 3 Zalcari vessels with them. Human gunners fired with accuracy born from 6 months of constant combat. Human pilots pushed their ships beyond safe limits because they did not care about safe limits. They cared about killing aliens. The battle lasted 4 hours. When it ended, the Zalcari defense fleet was destroyed. The human fleet had lost 96 ships, but the path to the planet was clear. "Launch the landing force," Rodriguez ordered. Troop ships descended through the atmosphere. 20,000 human soldiers, Marines, special forces, regular infantry, people who had spent 6 months learning to kill Zalcari very efficiently. They landed outside the capital city of Jaltar Prime. The Zalcari military tried to stop them. It was like trying to stop a tsunami with sandbags. Colonel Marcus Webb led his regiment through the alien city. Around him, buildings burned. Zalcari civilians fled in terror. His soldiers moved with mechanical precision, clearing structures, securing positions, eliminating resistance. "Colonel, we are getting reports of civilian casualties," his radio operator said. Webb felt nothing. He had watched his wife die in the New York bombing, had watched his daughter burn when the aliens fired on a refugee convoy. He was empty inside except for one thing, the need to make them pay. "Continue the advance," he ordered. "All resistance is to be eliminated." His regiment pushed deeper into the city. The Zalcari military tried to organize a defense. They tried to use tactics that had worked on other worlds. But those tactics did not work on humans. Humans did not retreat when outgunned. Humans did not stop when wounded. Humans just kept coming. By the end of the first day, the capital city was in human hands. The Zalcari government fled to underground bunkers. The civilian population hid in their homes, terrified of the aliens from Earth. Sir, we are receiving a transmission from the Zalcari government, Webb's communication officer reported. They want to negotiate a surrender. Webb thought about it for exactly 2 seconds. Tell them no, sir. Tell them we do not accept surrenders. Tell them we do not take prisoners. Tell them we remember Earth, and then cut the transmission. The officer looked shocked but followed orders. Over the next 2 days, human forces systematically destroyed every military installation on Jaltar Prime. They hit them with plasma fire, with missiles, with kinetic bombardment from orbit. They did not leave anything standing. The Zalcari casualties were horrific. Soldiers, support staff, anyone in a military facility. The humans did not discriminate, did not show mercy. They had learned from the Zalcari what total war meant. On the 3rd day, Rodriguez received a priority message from Earth. A ceasefire had been declared. The Galactic Council was intervening. Humanity was ordered to stop the attack. Rodriguez read the message and laughed bitterly. Tell the Galactic Council that humanity does not take orders. Tell them if they want us to stop, they can try to make us. But cooler heads prevailed. The human governments back on Earth ordered their forces to hold position. The destruction of Jaltar Prime was complete anyway. 3 military bases remained operational out of 200. The alien fleet was shattered. The government was in hiding. Rodriguez broadcast one final message to the planet below. People of Jaltar Prime, this is Captain Rodriguez of Earth. Your government invaded our world. They killed 3 billion humans. They tried to enslave us. So we came here. We destroyed your fleet. We destroyed your military. We destroyed your ability to threaten us or anyone else. She paused. This is what happens when you attack humanity. Remember it. Tell your children. Tell your grandchildren. Never again come to Earth. Never again threaten humanity. Because next time, we will not stop with your military. Next time, we will do to every Zalcari world what we did here. We are not interested in your surrender. We are not interested in your territory. We are interested in making sure you never threaten us again. So stay in your systems. Rebuild your world. And remember the price of attacking Earth. The human fleet regrouped in orbit. They had lost 123 ships. 15,000 soldiers were dead, but Jaltar Prime was broken. The Zalcari collective's closest colony to Earth was devastated. The surviving human ships prepared to return home. But as they did, Rodriguez made a decision. She sent 10 ships to scout other Zalcari colonies, to watch them, to make sure they understood the message. Humanity would never wait to be attacked again. They would watch. They would prepare. And if necessary, they would strike first. The age of human passivity was over. The age of human expansion had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Galactic Council chamber was ancient. For 3,000 years, representatives from 40 species had gathered here to discuss trade, diplomacy, and peace. Today, they discussed humanity. Ambassador Krell of the Valar species stood before the assembly. His people had been conquered by the Zalcari 2 centuries ago. He spoke with quiet authority. We have all watched the events unfold, Krell said. The Zalcari invaded a primitive world. That world fought back. Now the Zalcari collective teeters on the edge of collapse. The question before us is simple. What do we do about humanity? We destroy them, Representative Thex of the Morvani growled. They are dangerous. They created biological weapons. They fight with no honor. They must be eliminated before they threaten others. Krell shook his head. The Morvani have never been conquered. You do not understand what it means to be prey. The humans were defending themselves. They invaded Jaltar Prime, Thex countered. That was not defense. That was revenge, was it? Krell asked. Or was it teaching an important lesson? The Zalcari have conquered 23 species. They have never faced consequences. Perhaps humanity has done the galaxy a service. The chamber erupted in debate. Some species supported the Zalcari, fearing what humanity represented. Others quietly celebrated the collective's defeat, remembering their own conquered worlds. Finally, the council coordinator called for order. We have received a communication from humanity. They wish to address this council. The holographic display activated. A human appeared. She wore a simple suit. Her name was displayed. Secretary General Amara Okafor of the United Earth Government. Members of the Galactic Council, Okafor began. We are humanity. We come in peace, but we will defend ourselves in war. We did not ask for conflict with the Zalcari. They came to our world. They killed billions of us. They tried to enslave us. We responded. Thex interrupted. You responded by creating weapons of genocide, by invading their worlds, by surviving, Okafor cut him off. Yes, we created terrible weapons. We fought with brutality. We invaded their colony, and we did all of this because they left us no choice. They wanted to conquer us. We made them regret it. She leaned forward. Now I understand you wish to discuss what to do about humanity. You wish to decide if we are too dangerous to be allowed to exist. So let me save you some time. Okafor's image was joined by others. Images of human warships, weapons, soldiers, technology. We have built a fleet of 500 ships. We have armed our planet with weapons that can glass continents. We have developed biological, chemical, and nuclear weapons specifically designed to target every species in this council. We have scouts in 37 star systems watching you, learning about you, preparing for the day you might become our enemies. The council chamber went silent. You see, Okafor continued, we learned an important lesson from the Zalcari. The galaxy is not safe. There are species that will try to conquer others, so we will never be weak again. We will never be unprepared again. We will watch. We will build, and we will be ready. Is that a threat? Thex demanded. No, Okafor said calmly. It is a statement of fact. We do not want war with you. We want trade, diplomacy, friendship. But if you come for us, we will do to you what we did to the Zalcari. We will hurt you so badly that your grandchildren will remember the price of threatening Earth. Krell spoke up. And what of the Zalcari? What is your demand regarding them? We demand nothing, Okafor said. The Zalcari Collective will dismantle their military. They will release all conquered species. They will pay reparations to those species, and they will be monitored by human observers to ensure compliance. And if the Council does not support this? Another representative asked. Okafor smiled. It was not a warm smile. Then we will enforce it ourselves. We are perfectly capable of doing so. The transmission ended. The Council sat in shocked silence. Finally, Krell spoke. I move that we recognize humanity as a sovereign spacefaring species with all rights and responsibilities. I further move that we support their demands regarding the Zalcari Collective, and I move that we establish formal diplomatic relations with Earth. The vote was not unanimous. Several species voted against humanity, but the majority voted in favor. Fear was a powerful motivator. Nobody wanted to be the next target of human anger. 5 years later, the galaxy had changed. The Zalcari Collective was a shadow of its former self. Their military was limited to defensive forces. Their conquered species had been liberated by human peacekeepers. Their population had dropped from 47 billion to 8 billion. Most of the casualties from the plague that humanity had unleashed. The liberated species looked to humanity with a mixture of gratitude and fear. Humanity had freed them. But humanity had also demonstrated a capacity for violence that shocked the galaxy. Human territory now spanned 12 systems. Not through conquest, but through purchase and negotiation. Earth had become wealthy, trading technology and resources with other species. Human medicine was particularly valuable. It turned out that species from death worlds made excellent doctors. Captain Rodriguez, now Admiral Rodriguez, stood on the bridge of the UES Vigilance. She commanded the First Fleet, humanity's rapid response force. Around her, officers monitored sensors, watching for threats to human space. Admiral, we are receiving a distress call, her communication officer reported. The Valar colony of Talos 4 is under attack by pirates. Rodriguez checked the location. It was 3 days from human space at FTL speeds. Are we the closest responders? Yes, Admiral. The Valar Defense Forces are 6 days out. Rodriguez made her decision quickly. Set course for Talos 4, maximum speed. Prepare for combat. The First Fleet jumped to FTL. They arrived at Talos 4 to find 5 pirate ships attacking the colony. The pirates saw the human vessels and immediately tried to flee. They did not make it far. Human weapons had improved in 5 years. They fired. The pirate ships exploded. The Valar colonists cheered. Human ships had saved them. This became a pattern. Human fleets responded to pirate attacks, to slavers, to aggressive species that preyed on weaker ones. Humanity became the galaxy's police force, not through official authority, but through the simple fact that nobody wanted to fight them. Back on Earth, Dr. Sarah Chen worked in a laboratory at the University of New Beijing. She no longer created weapons. Instead, she worked on vaccines and cures, trying to heal the damage she had caused. She had received a message from a Zalcari scientist, a request for help. Their population was still dying from the plague she had created. Could humanity help? Chen had stared at that message for days. The Zalcari had killed her brother, had tried to enslave her species. Part of her wanted them to suffer, but a larger part remembered what it meant to be human. Humans were capable of terrible violence, but they were also capable of mercy. She sent back a cure, free of charge. Humanity did not need it, but the Zalcari did. The galaxy learned many things about humanity in those 5 years. They learned that humans were dangerous when threatened, that they fought with brutal efficiency, that they held grudges and extracted terrible revenge. But they also learned that humans could be generous, that they protected the weak, that they valued courage and honored strength. They learned that humans were paradoxes, capable of genocide and compassion, of destruction and creation, of war and peace. Most importantly, the galaxy learned never to underestimate a species from a death world, never to assume that primitive technology meant primitive thinking, never to believe that a divided world could not unite against a common threat. In the galactic databases, Earth was given a threat classification, maximum. A warning was attached to humanity's entry in every alien encyclopedia. Do not threaten, do not attack, do not enslave. They came to conquer humanity and faced extinction instead. Learn from their mistake. Secretary General Okafor stood on a balcony overlooking the rebuilt New York City. Skyscrapers rose into the sky again. Parks had been restored. Life had returned. But there were monuments too. Monuments to the 3 billion dead. Reminders of the cost of survival. A young reporter approached her. Secretary General, what do you think humanity's legacy will be? Will we be remembered as warriors? As monsters? As saviors? Okafor smiled. We will be remembered as survivors. We will be remembered as the species that refused to die. The species that faced extinction and fought back so hard that our enemies regretted ever finding us. She looked up at the stars. We did not choose to be warriors. The Zalcari made us warriors. But now that we are, we will use that strength to protect not just ourselves but others. That is humanity's gift to the galaxy. Not just the lesson that we are dangerous, but the promise that we are dangerous to the right things. So we are not monsters. We are whatever we need to be, Okafor said. We can be gentle or brutal, forgiving or vengeful, builders or destroyers. The choice has always been ours. The Zalcari chose wrong when they came to Earth. They thought they would find victims. They found something much worse. What is that? Okafor smiled. They found humans. The reporter wrote his story. It was transmitted across human space and beyond, to 40 species watching, judging, learning. The title of the article was simple. They came to conquer humanity and faced extinction instead.